I'm here today with Russ Charvonia, President of the Worldwide Civility Council. Russ, welcome. Tell us a little bit about the Worldwide Civility Council.
Thank you, Mike. I'd be happy to. The Worldwide Civility Council came about in early 2020 with the idea of being an umbrella organization to house all kinds of our different efforts to restore civility to society. So it is the operator, if you will, of the Urgency of Civility Conference, which we'll be holding our next conference in May of 2021. It has the Civility Scorecard, which is designed to rate the relative level of speech in somebody's words and tone. It operates the Masonic Family Civility Project, which was the genesis to this whole effort almost 7 years ago. It has the Civility Shop, which is designed to offer some neat swag, all promoting the civility message. And then the other thing that it's recently innovated is the Civility Scorecard, which I'm sure we'll be talking much more about.
Well, I think that's a great opportunity to talk about some of the things that are really important today. Returning civility to society is a big, big job. And some of the things that you talked about, the civility scorecard, the urgency of civility conference, the certified civil designation are very important. How do you really think that society is ready to turn back to a more civil society?
It's a fair question, and frankly, one that I ask myself frequently. Although the way I ask it is, are our efforts in vain? And should we be putting our time, effort, and money towards something that's likely to bear more fruit? And every time I get ready to suggest to myself and others, let's throw in the towel, I'll get a phone call or an email from somebody with whom we've dealt over the last few years that just recharges my batteries. That something we have shared with them over the years has helped them to deal with a difficult situation. And frankly, Mike, that gives me hope that our efforts will ultimately bear fruit. We have to be optimistic in the humankind. We have to be optimistic that we all want better and that better is good. So yes, I think we'll be able to do it, not single-handedly by any stretch. And fortunately, there are an awful lot of people in this space trying to improve our world. Um, but the main realization I have had over the last few years is there's not a magic wand that we're going to be able to wave and automatically the world is now civil, but rather this is a journey and one that you and I and so many others have chosen to take. And we're going to make progress one human being at a time. And ultimately, our children at least, and our children's children will be able to look back and say, the efforts that those folks put forth back then have paved a better world for us today.
Let's talk for a minute about the most recent of the projects that the Worldwide Civility Council has engaged in, and that's the certified civil designation. What are we attempting to do with certified civil?
Great question. And I'm going to start with how we came about with this idea because it wasn't my brainstorm by any stretch. But at our last Urgency of Civility conference in May of 2019, one of the things that came out of it was, wouldn't it be neat if we were able to rely on certain organizations and certain people that they wanted to deal with us in a civil manner? And wouldn't it be neat to encourage that kind of behavior on a more grassroots level? If you will, think about it as the underwriter's laboratory seal, where we used to buy an electronic equipment piece and we turn it upside down to see if it had that UL seal. And that gave us confidence that it was safe to use. Or the good housekeeping seal of approval, which told us that it had undergone a rigorous testing and that it was a worthwhile and quality product. Well, same type of thing with the certified civil. The idea is that an organization, be it a nonprofit, a for-profit, our media sources, be it traditional or social media, or even our individual social media sites and so on. They can all apply to become certified civil. And what that really means is that they would then agree to abide by certain standards of civility, if you will. Now, we don't expect any of these entities or people to be perfect. They're all rough ashlers, if you will. But what we are expecting is that they will give it their best effort to treat the people with whom they come in contact in a dignified, respectful, if you will, civil manner. So we are just launching it after a lot of development. We think it has the potential to really get the message across to a lot of people that this is the right way to behave when you're dealing with customers or clients, employees, subordinates or superiors, friends, family, just everybody with whom you come in contact. It's that gentle reminder, am I exemplifying the kind of behavior in my words, in my deeds that I aspire to do? If I can go on just another step, Mike, that the whole idea here is not to rap somebody over the knuckles and say, how dare you for being uncivil, but rather if somebody with whom you've come in contact feels that you've dealt with them in an improper manner, then representatives from the Worldwide Civility Council will reach out. Say it's Russ's law firm, for example, where somebody's had a less than pleasant experience. We'd reach out to Russ and to his law firm and share that experience and try to bring about a reformation. Russ, you may not have realized that this is how that person had taken it. How could you change that going forward? And how can you rectify this relationship with that person who filed the civility concern with us? So we're really looking to create that growth in everybody with whom we come in contact.
You mentioned the civility concern. Is that the way somebody would register an issue that they had with a company or organization that they felt was operating in an uncivil manner, or had just possibly violated some minor civil infractions?
Precisely. And I hope our listeners will note the way we worded that. It's not a civility complaint. It's a civility concern. And then that was very deliberate on our part because we wanted to raise the concern with the idea that with the proper interaction and intervention, that we can rectify it. This isn't meant to be a penalty to somebody, although if they continue to act in an inappropriate way, then we will in fact revoke their ability to use the certified civil designation. But we believe that most people and most organizations are properly motivated and they want to do the right thing by their constituents. So if they agree to engage in a conversation with us so that we can share where they went off the mark, where they erred, we believe that most of them are going to want to improve. And that's part of the education process that will last with them a whole lot longer and help them to deal with other people going forward.
So, how would somebody go about registering to become certified civil?
It's relatively simple. Go to certifiedcivil.org, certifiedcivil.org. And there you will read about our 3 different types of designations that we have so far, with more coming. We have the small business, we have the enterprise business for larger enterprises, and then we have media. Eventually, we'll end up having it for individuals where your Facebook or Instagram or what have you sites could be certified civil as well. And then there's an application that takes 10 minutes or less in most instances. There is an application fee. And then our team will review that application, check out some of your web pages and your policies and procedures, your reviews and so on and so forth. And one of 3 things will happen. You'll either be approved and then be able to go the next step, or we may have some more clarifying information and questions that we have, and then we'll reach out to you. Or on the rare occasion, we would just dismiss you outright. There are certain entities, frankly, that are never going to be deemed certified civil in our minds. And they probably know who they are. They probably won't be applying anyway.
So you mentioned the next step. What's the next step?
The next step is to go to certifiedscivil.org, learn about it. You'll read what it's all about. You'll read about what the commitment is in terms of those civility standards to which you're committing, and then talk it over with other decision makers in your organization. And if it's something that appeals to you, then do take the time to apply. There's plenty of ways that if you have questions as you're reviewing it, you can reach out to us and we'll be happy to communicate with you and answer those questions. But I have to tell you, Mike, my vision for this is that this becomes so widespread, so pervasive, that it becomes one of those things that we're subliminally looking for whenever we're dealing with a person or an organization.
When you say that we're looking for, what is it that a company or organization will get that we would see visibly?
So people that are looking at this on a video will see the certified civil stamp or designation behind each of our backgrounds. But for your social media, websites, things like that, you will get a logo that you'll be able to put on your various pages and so on. And that people will be able to click through to learn more as to what that's all about. And if they do have a concern that you haven't been treating them the way they want to be treated, they could file that civility concern. For physical locations, our recipients will also get window clings, tabletop posters, things along those lines to promote it. And the idea here is that it will raise curiosity among those with whom you come in contact. And they'll ask you, Mike, I see that certified civil. What does that mean? And that gives you the opportunity to describe your commitment to treating them and everybody with whom you come in contact in an appropriate and civil manner. And my personal thought is that's just going to give them an extra vote of confidence in dealing with you, and an extra layer of comfort in knowing that you are a person of integrity and positive intent.
Well, Russ, that's a wonderful dream to have. Um, do you think that it's possible within the next couple of years that we will be able to reach out to enough people that certified civil will really have meaning?
I do. I do. My take on this, the current state of society, is we're in triage mode right now. We need to stop the hemorrhaging. That's the first step to then begin healing and making progress. And I think we are starting to see that happen. It's up to all of us to accelerate that as quickly as we can. Certified civil, as this takes hold and starts to become more and more recognized and appreciated, I think it will snowball. And that it is one component. It by itself isn't going to do it, but it's one component along this journey toward a civil society that, yes, I think 2 years from now, we're going to be able to look back and say we're making progress. And I frankly have not been able to say that for the last several years.
Well, I know you've been working on civility and restoring it in society for well over 6 years now. That it's been something that's been near and dear to your heart. Uh, over this 6 year period or 6 year plus, have you seen a change for the positive?
I have, albeit selectively. And one of the conclusions I've reached over these last several years is that we cannot wait for this to come from our leaders down to us, but instead it needs to become much more of a grassroots effort. It's just one person at a time being introspective and deciding what kind of person they want to be and how they want to deal with each other, especially those with whom they have disagreement. And by doing that, that's how we're going to end up forcing it upon our leaders to treat each other and us with greater respect, dignity, and civility. So that was a key realization of mine just probably within the last year or two. And that's where the certified civil designation is designed to be that grassroots pressure, if you will, on our leaders and let them know that these are our expectations. Again, not that I have to agree with you, but you do have to treat me with dignity and respect to have a chance at getting my vote.
Well, great. And the Worldwide Civility Council is a great step towards the bringing together a lot of the organizations and the individuals who are out there working in the field of civility. They, for the most part, are working independently of each other, and through the Urgency of Civility Conference and through the Worldwide Civility Council. Hopefully, we'll use the certified civil designation to get a number of those into a certified civil mindset, and then begin to have them working together more directly, sharing each other's successes, and in many respects sharing each other's failures and figuring out how they can move forward and help each other. Do you have any parting comments, Russ, that you felt you wanted to get out?
First of all, thank you for this opportunity, Mike. And I personally want to thank you for being such a vital part of this effort and this team. I'm very grateful to you. This is, again, a journey. It's one that I encourage everybody listening to climb aboard. And we start that by, first of all, making a commitment to treat those with whom we come in contact with ever greater dignity and respect. Check out certifiedcivil.org and see if it's appropriate for you to consider applying for it. And just in every interaction that you have, ask yourself, am I treating this person, am I treating this relationship, this situation with the kind of civility that I would ask to be returned to me? And it's okay if the answer is no, but then ask yourself, why is that answer no? And what can you be doing to turn it around? So often it's simply knowing what tools to use to avoid allowing our tempers and our emotions to rule our day. It's not easy because we are passionate about various things. So it's about employing certain tools to restrain those passions and use them in a productive way. Something I tell folks often is we don't need civility when things are going swimmingly. We need it during difficult times, difficult encounters. And civility is not merely applying the rules of etiquette and being polite or avoiding certain conversations. Civility is what's necessary when those conversations are difficult to have. The better equipped each of us are to have those conversations and to manage our emotions, the better the likelihood we're going to be able to engage in those difficult but very necessary discussions. It's something we can do. It's something we can do if we all decide to get in the boat and oar and row in the same direction and in unison. And I have faith in the human spirit that we will get there. It starts with each one of us.
Thank you again, Russ Charvonia, President of the Worldwide Civility Council, for everything you're doing.
And thank you for this opportunity, Mike.